The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of Choice 105.3 or its advertisers.
Your views, your opinion, your voice. Tune in to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the talk show that tackles the major issues on target. Join former members of the Nevis Island Administration and St. Kitts Nevis Federal Government as they discuss and debate today's issues with the listening audience. Also expect special guests, panelists, and friends. Participate by calling phone lines 869-469-5300 or overseas phone line 203-983-8903. Listen live on www.sknclt.com. Be sure to tune in to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM each and every Saturday at 1 p.m. It's On Target with the Honorable Dwight Cozier, the Honorable E. Roberto Hector, and the Honorable Patrice Nisbet. Get in touch with your favorite presenter or go live on Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM by calling local line 1-869-469-5300. Calling from overseas? No problem. Call 1-203-983-8903. It's your SKN Choice Times and we want to hear from you. Where the press is free and every man is able to read, all is safe. That is the motto of the national newspaper of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the SKN Leeward Times. Be sure to purchase our latest issue at our many distributors, including TDC City Drugstore, Slacks Liquor, Chapter 1 Bookstore, Dongfang Supermarket, Superfood Supermarket, Island Tires and Hardware, Ram Supermarket, Hosford's Value Mart, Cost Me Less, Best Buy Gingerland, X Petrol, E&F Enterprise, Mansa's Last Stop, and A.V. Jones and Sons. Stay up to date with what's going on in the Federation, the wider Caribbean, and the whole world. Buy yourself a copy of the SKN Leeward Times newspaper. For more information, be sure to call 1-869-469-1049 or log on to our website www.sknclt.com.
Power rules the world today. Power corrupts, they say. And absolute power corrupts you. Absolutely. It can change a man who has a heart of gold, make him cruel, wicked, self-centered and cold. Many men in this land, many organizations fought for freedom and justice throughout the land. When they have power and authority, they don't give a damn about nobody. Prostituting the island to all and sundry, they peddling my people's right, exploiting, oppressing, less freedom, more suffering. I wonder how we survive. Think it over, my friend. Think it over again. Think it over, don't vex with me, shorty. Think it over, I'm singing as I sing. Food we can't even buy, murder the price too high. Malnutrition killing the children while we the adults starving. Yet the price is rising without control. Young man begging bread by the side of the road. And the Chamber of Commerce in this land, I tell you, they don't give one damn. The more we try to economize, the more cost of living rise. When they have power and authority, they don't give a damn about nobody. They prostituting the island, milking the land dry. They making my people starve, exploiting, oppressing, less freedom, more suffering. This thing just can't go on. Think it over, my friend. Think it over carefully again. with me, shut, think it over, I'm singing as I sing. Work we can't even find, life seems a waste of time. Nothing to do but sit around the corner line.
I wish to say good afternoon to all our visitors here on Nevis, whether you are from Nevis or just visiting for the first time. And I wish to say a special good afternoon to my two brothers who are here, one from St. Croix and one from New York. And another will be coming in from St. Kitts on Monday to join us here for the festive season. So I say welcome to those. And of course, I missed the opportunity to say a hello and greetings to my good friend Kennedy Cozier, the brother of our host, who was visiting for just a week. And I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get a chance to job on a bit with him, but he promised on the next trip we will have a beer together. So I say good afternoon to my good friend Kennedy Cozier from the class of 1977 at CSS, a long time ago. And for those persons down in the Slacks Liquor Store who are joining us, those persons by Arlene Shop up in Pump Road, a special good afternoon to you. Those in diaspora, even a greater greeting to you, because you take the time out on Saturdays to join us here at Choice FM, the community radio, of course, going forward. And then we have some other stories. Of course, we lost the great former Deputy Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis, based on Nevis, Mr. Eustace John. I used to really look forward to our conversations because he's an avid agriculturalist. I don't think people realize it about him. He used to look forward to coming to the Ministry of Agriculture when I was there to discuss or to get plants for his gardens, whether they're fruit plants, where we didn't sell ornamentals, so it was just fruit plants we used to do provide for him, and some vegetables, especially tomatoes and peppers. So I do hope that his soul rests in eternal peace as we celebrate his service to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I'm sure the Honorable Eva Better Hector and the Honorable Patrice Nisbet, when he arrives, will share similar sentiments of their interactions with the now late Deputy Governor General Eustace John. We also have in the paper, power outages continue, but the managers won't speak to press as to why. We were promised since a week ago that the big outages we had would not occur again, but we are still having those outages in select parts of the country. I can't say it has happened too much in Charlestown, but I know in Bridges and Long Point, and I'm certainly in St. James and Gingerland, there have been outages of both power and water. So the crisis continues, even if it's at a lower ebb. Then we have the robotics team from CFB, my former college, under the astute leadership of Dr. Ricardo Neal, who I recruited to come to CFBC about 2 years ago. And he's now leading the robotics team that plays 36 out of a world contingent of 163 nations in the world. And so I'm very proud of Dr. Neal and his team there at CFB, who delivered in grand style, first in the OECS, third in CARICOM, and 36 in the world. That's a remarkable achievement for a new program that we started there at CFB under my, of course, presidency, Mr. Hector. And so we have Lindsay Grant, St. Kitts and Nevis signed on to establishment of small business development centers. I wish that news would travel to the persons here on Nevis who have not spent a single dime of that $113 million on any such development for small businesses on Nevis. And so, Minister Grant, maybe you need to share some of the joy with our ministers here on Nevis. And then there's a story about the NIA are the new owners of Herbert's Beach, approximately 13, almost 14 acres. The Observer is carrying that story, and I was reading through it, trying to find out the purpose of which this property was purchased. But of course, it's for recreational use for new visions, and the cost has not yet been published. Mr. Jeffers, the Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Housing, and etc., has not fully disclosed the purpose of the property purchase and the cost of it. So I'll be holding my breath until we see the bill for that property. And the question I must ask Mr. Hector, why do we need 14 acres for a recreational park at Herbert's Beach? Given the fact that the one we have here at Penny's that haven't even started yet. But that's what the stories we're going to go into in more detail. And on the Leeward Times, we carry the same story about the retirement the retirement of Dr. Martin. And the ECCB statistics show that St. Kitts and Nevis economy almost at the bottom. We were first at one point in 2015 and 2016, or 2015 to be more exact, and now we are at near the bottom for 2017, and it is a shocking decline, a real GDP growth according to ECCB. And so when we were saying to you in St. Kitts and Nevis, and perhaps in the diaspora, that things are bad, while those opposite to us were telling you how good things are, then we have the adjudicator, the ECCB, who is saying things are bad, because we have slipped from first place in the OECS to below, I think it's third from the bottom. So there's the evidence. We didn't call it. The ECCB called it. So we have that to chew on for today. And in the paper, much of the same as we saw in the Observer. Increased pay issues by the police. They are grumbling. They want their pay. And TDC doing quite well. $12.9 million in pre-tax profit. And I'm assuming that is due to all of the construction that is occurring on St. Kitts. And of course, perhaps some on Nevis with the concrete, with the cement and steel and wood and stuff like that. The government has been spending on projects here on Nevis. So I congratulate TDC for keening on that huge windfall. I do hope they put some back into the community services that are so very lacking here in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. And we have the resignation of the National Bank Chairman. That's a number of resignations since Team Unity has taken place. And it's much of the same, some small stories, and etc. All right. Oh, there's one other story. There's one here. NRP leader slammed CCM government over Nevis power outages, and that's by the Honorable Joseph Parry, who wrote a piece, a state address concerning the problems of power and water on Nevis. So you can read those stories. But Mr. Hector, there are some issues that have come to the fore as usual. When you're coming on a radio on Saturday time, you've got the whole week of stories to deal with. And so here we are. We are seeing an escalation of activity at Ole Beach, at Mosquito Bay, as some persons like to refer it, with surveyors being there to site the new pier that's supposed to be coming to that bay. Despite serious opposition, the Minister Jeffers has sunk his feet into the sand and said he's not budging. And before I came to the studio this afternoon, I was watching the local news channel, NNC, and there was Curtis Morton doing a play-by-play swimming activity for our youngsters who are learning to swim at Ole, on the same exact spot that the pier is supposed to go. So it is really remarkable that here on NNC, you're showing the pier, the site where the pier is going to go, basically mirroring exactly the same spot that the young kids of Nevis are learning to swim in a very shallow water. So we really need to reconsider this activity by Minister Jeffers, who is really relentless in his pursuit of building a pier to just 50 meters away from an existing pier that the owners have indicated they are quite willing to entertain a discussion with the NIA to extending that pier and making it even more sturdy. So there will be no need to build a second pier. But this government is not listening. They don't care. They have committed the resources and they are now going ahead with their plans. So I do hope that those persons who frequent Mosquito Bay, or Jones Bay, or Orly Beach, whichever one you choose to call it, they will take notice and take some action against this minister and his belligerence as we move forward, challenging the establishment of this new pier, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We have issues to talk about, Mr. Hector, on what has not been happening in this island of Nevis. All the promises, the empty promises have been made, and the pontifications of the ministers responsible for different ministries. So there are issues about that we're going to go into at detail. We're going to talk a little bit about the Mondo truck, or lack thereof. And we're going to talk a little bit about tax and tax collection, because there was an article in the paper concerning taxes that I wish to bring to people's attention. So, Mr. Hector, E. Roberto Hector, parliamentarian for St. Paul's, welcome once again, and we'll hear from you what your points are to today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daly. Let me say good afternoon to all who are listening, wherever you are in the diaspora. I greet you this afternoon with my sole intent to add my voice to the nation's debate. As we normally say on target here, our program falling on a Saturday give us a chance to either have the first say on the issue or the closing remarks as it relates. There are quite a number of issues for the week. If I am to draw on some that you raise from the newspaper, I would tell you across the Observer we see Harris meeting with Clinton, and I smile because this seems like it is a chance to raise the profile of a prime minister who has made what I would call a bad decision in terms of security management. And I think highlighting this is a way of making you feel that if you're next to President Clinton, you know, across the top cover, you're trying to help us. If I'm to give another small comment as it relates to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Daly, I don't know how your letter was delivered to you. And I remember when you told me your letter was delivered, I did not deliver to you that day. I was in the studio, so I would always remember that day. It was a Tuesday. But the issue of using policemen to perhaps send, I think this is a work that can be done by a simple bailiff. It gets fair, and it's really an abuse of power. And let's say if you make it as a mistake, you learn from it. But I don't believe that, it was necessary for you to give service of that in that way. These dismissals are normally legal issues, and I know, Dr. Daly, I would not want to in any way discuss your case before the court, but I know these things are normally legal issues. You can't just get up and dismiss a man like that, and before you do that, you're sending him on leave forthwith. There are some provisions under the legislation. You would remember that Vance Amry dismissed Christine Springett and my good friend Mr. Daniel in the public's interest. And I often say that these are not things that we want to do. They are uncalled for. And you're so right, Dr. Daly. It's just an abuse of power, showing that you demonstrating that kind of will. You see, I told the good people of this federation that we had to be careful. Once the CCM government came in power, I started seeing a sort of culture a culture of politics that would only cause harm to our country and our people. You started seeing the seeds of division among our people, and you started seeing political enmity among long-standing friends and even within families. We saw that in Nevis. And I warned the public that this was going to go across to St. Kitts. Remember, we saw on the CCM the level of victimization of those perceived NRP supporters. And there was this, you start to see nepotism at its greatest. You could imagine that some persons are too old for the civil service. But then you see Premier Amri brought back his sister. And I have said to you, these are signs. Right now they're seeking hard to manipulate the electoral process. I have an ongoing letter, and I know this is going to be a legal battle again, because there are some actions taken recently. I mean, since the 31st of March, we were supposed to have the list, electoral list, the master list. This is now going into August, and you don't know who's on the list. I have been told that about 160 persons have been taken off from the Old Road area, and you know what that is about. And I see some signs. I have a letter from the supervisor of the election, and like I say, we are going to be sitting in the court on some of these issues. The CCM characteristics, again, of neglecting communities that didn't vote overwhelmingly for them are some of the things that we saw. And so it seems to me like when unity came into power, those two gentlemen, our premier and our deputy, sitting in that federal cabinet now, having the whole cake, it seemed like it was to just take some of these matters or these practices from here in Nevis onto St. Kitts. So, and of course, whenever you have such a practice, you're going to see people resigning. I'm not surprised. We had the speaker leaving us, a number of persons leaving, and it's a demonstration of the fact that a number of persons are still good citizens and really don't believe that we should operate in that way. And so, by way of comment on the newspaper articles, Dr. Daly, I just thought I should add that. I would also want to make a comment as it relates to His Honor, Deputy Governor General, Mr. Eustace John. He left us, and at 78, quite a young man, I would say. I would want to offer condolences to his family and to the good people of St. Kitts Nevis. He can be described as a career civil servant who moved from the humble beginnings of just a simple civil servant and served as the zenith or the peak of our service. Now, I must say this. During his last days, I had an opportunity to see one or two of the letters that he penned. And it is sad that he grew frustrated with the way the public service is being run in Nevis, the kind of decisions. There are a number of court matters. And as a career civil servant, I remember seeing one correspondence in which he blatantly made mention of the behavior within the civil service and how people are treated. And I know he might have gone on to rest, and I ask that he rest in peace. But believe you me, I know he would have had a heavy heart in terms of some of the practices that are going on in the civil service. There's a level of fear among our civil servants, and I must say to you that the fear is so grave that sometimes their own entitlement they're being robbed of, and they are afraid to echo the sentiments. And I want civil servants to understand that you are not getting any favor from these fellas, not at all. They have already increased their salary threefolds. when they promised you they were going to decrease it. There are entitlements to civil servant. We had a running program in terms of offering youngsters assistance. And I'm saying to you, my understanding now is that what they are offering, you don't know what they're doing. It's a government that based on a favor and how the party politics look. That is how they want to advance it. We had a clear policy in this country where we told you our mantra was training, training, and training, because we believe the jobs here in Nevis can be held by our residents. And when I say residents, it includes everyone. I have a young chap who is working with me now. He was born in Jamaica, but he has lived here since he's 2 years old. He is a resident. He has gone to school here, and he should be qualified for anything that you're offering. And that's the program that I'm talking about. It's an entitlement, not a favor. And too many of our civil servants are frightened. One person said to me, there's something happening in my department, Hector. I'm afraid to talk about it. It's bad. It shouldn't happen. But they brought a Bible and asked us to swear an oath. Yes, they did that to some of the civil servants. So there's this fear in the civil service that is uncalled for. And it is what you said earlier, an abuse of power. Tantamounts to nothing else. People feel they're being spied. One person said to me that the IT unit, they've been told by one of their department, you all go ahead. The IT unit have some capabilities and we're going to know things. I mean, you, as a Dr. Daly, that is the impression they're giving. And I'm saying there should be no IT in Nevis whose sole function should be to be spying on civil servants. And there go the nature of fear that I am talking about. And so, for a man who left the civil service at the top, he made great contribution to this country. He was a Gingerlander during the days when Gingerland was something. I like how you put it. Breadbasket of the Federation. And so I am not surprised that he continued to go to the Department of Agriculture and stay in touch. Because as a man of that era and time, I believe he understood what food security was. And truly, being a Deputy Governor General, you must not be like our present Premier, not having an understanding of food security, so that you would send a $30 million project, fisheries project, all the way off. And I hope Nevisians are coming and realizing what is happening. Open your eyes to the realities. And so this afternoon, Dr. Daly, my comments would be along the line, and I believe we are singing from the same hymn sheet. The shortcomings of this government would be one. Water would be the other thing that I'll be looking at, and I'm staying on what I call the signs of an ailing economy. And so, by way of introduction, Dr. Daly, those are my words. Those are my words, and when I get that chance, I'll be able to say a little bit more.
Where the press is free and every man is able to read, all is safe. That is the motto of the national newspaper of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the SKN Leeward Times. Be sure to purchase our latest issue at our many distributors, including TDC City Drugstore, Slacks Liquor, Chapter 1 Bookstore, Dongfang Supermarket, Superfood Supermarket, Island Tires and Hardware, Ram Supermarket, Hosford's Value Mart, Cost Me Less, Best Buy Gingerland, X-Petrol, E&F Enterprise, Mansa's Last Stop, and A.V. Jones & Sons. Stay up to date with what's going on in the Federation, the wider Caribbean, and the whole world. Buy yourself a copy of the SKN Leeward Times newspaper. For more information, be sure to call 1-869-469-1049 or log on to our website www.sknclt.com. Feeling thirsty? Need to beat the heat? Then come on into Nevis Spring Water at Cedar Trees and get just what you need. We sell small, medium, and large bottled water, cold or room temperature. We also refill your large bottles. We sell empty bottles of all sizes. Call us at 469-5011 to place your orders or for your delivery services. Nevis Spring Water, the only thirst quencher. Get in touch with your favorite presenter or go live on Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM by calling local line 1-869-469-5300. Calling from overseas? No problem. Call 1-203-983-8903. It's your SKN Choice Times and we want to hear from you.
Power rules the world today. Power corrupts, they say. And absolute power corrupts you. Absolutely. It can change a man who has a heart of gold, make him cruel, wicked, self-centered and cold. Many men in this land, many organizations fought for freedom and justice throughout the land. When they have power and authority, they don't give a damn about nobody. Prostituting the island to all and sundry, they peddling my people's right, exploiting, oppressing, less freedom, more suffering. I wonder how we survive. Think it over, my friend. Think it over again. Think it over, don't vex with me, shorty. Think it over, I'm singing as I sing. Food we can't even buy, murder the price too high. Malnutrition killing the children while we the adults starving. Yet the price is rising without control. Young man begging bread by the side of the road. And the Chamber of Commerce in this land, I tell you, they don't give one damn. The more we try to economize.
We were just joined by the Honorable Patrice Nisbet. So welcome, Mr. Nisbet, to the studios. And we will allow you to get your points out that you wish to discuss before we delve into the meat of the matters here on this wonderful broadcast this afternoon.
Good afternoon, and let me once again say it is indeed a pleasure to be here on another Saturday afternoon to, as Mr. Cozy would describe it, shine the bright light of scrutiny on the varying issues that are affecting and plaguing the nation of St. Christopher and Nevis in particular. I want to wish a very special good afternoon to the good people of Nevis 11. They have sent me to Bastia since 2000, and I've been there representing and advocating their interest in Bastia. I've realized that this On Target program, it is not only widely listened to by supporters of the Nevis Reformation Party, but it is very much listened to by those who are in the CCM camp. And so, while I was on my journey this week, on my usual duties, there are so many people who came up to me and were expressing or challenging me on a number of matters that we would have raised on this On Target program. And they were giving me their perspective. They were indicating to me where they felt I went wrong or we went wrong. And they were also indicating where they thought we were indeed correct. And you would realize when you look around the country that some of the things that are said on target, as soon as the government hears, they start to do things. So sometimes I wonder if we should speak certain things on target. But we have to bring the message to the people of the nation. And so we will continue to bring that message to our people. Notwithstanding, they may go and clean down the fence. They may go and clean the bushes. They may go and do the road. It means that we are talk that get results. And it demonstrates to the people of this country that the men and women of the Nevis Reformation Party are indeed the better choice. You know, a gentleman came to my office this week and he said he had a conversation with a known CCM supporter. And he has asked the known CCM supporter to list what are the people empowerment projects that the CCM has done during the last time they were in government, and now they're back in government. This is a gentleman who is an avid and a rabid supporter of the CCM. And he was at loss to name the projects that his government that he supports would have done to advance the men and women here on the island of Nevis. And that will always be a challenge. Because when the Nevis Reformation Party speaks, they can point, or as some in the NRP like to say, they can show their landmarks as to what they have done to improve the quality of life here on the island of Nevis. I was listening on my way in, and I realized that a plethora of issues have been raised, and so I won't raise too many issues today. I really don't want to do that, because the number of issues that have been raised, those are very germane issues that require proper and effective ventilation and debate among our people. But I would want to say a few things maybe this afternoon, because I want to get back to what I said, because I am understanding that I am under attack. And I believe I don't say things lightly, generally speaking. I normally say what I mean. If I had $1.7 million to spend in Nevis, I want to outline to the people of the country this afternoon how I would have spent it. I would have never spent it on used containers. I don't care what you're talking about, a facelift. Cultural village don't need a facelift. It's culture you're talking about. What is it? It's about. And all the evaluators and the assessors that are in this country that I have asked them their honest opinion. Look at the cultural village and tell Patrice Nisbet if $1.7 million was spent inside there. And they have all come back. And they have told me that that is virtually impossible. And so I have to ask where the money went. And so this afternoon, I would want to speak about how I would spend $1.7 million. I would certainly spend them on computers. Because now I see the gentleman is saying, don't buy no knapsack. He's coming with part 2 of believing in yourself. That's what he's telling the people of this country. You don't need no laptop. All you need is a knapsack that mark on believe in yourself. That's what he's telling the people of the country. the mothers and fathers who have invested heavily in their children. Most of us could afford a knapsack, but most of us in this country can't afford a computer. And that's where we are. And so if I had $1.7 million to spend, I will buy computers. I will not buy containers. That's not what I will do for the people of this country. And not even that, because we were not buying used laptops, you know. Those are used containers. We were buying brand new laptops for the young people of this country. And so if I had $1.7 million to spend, I would want to say to the people of this country this afternoon how I will spend it. Because I will not spend it that way. Because you don't need $1.7 million to do a facelift of the cultural village. Don't need that.
3 days after the
Exactly. Tells you what is happening there. And I move on to my next issue. Gentlemen, I look around the constituency in St. James. You know, sometimes it's not good to be overly critical. But I have waited. I realize that you have 2 excavators working at the VOGN playing field. A small little ground like that, why would you need 2 excavators there? Several trucks. You move down to where Poet Cornelius used to live in Newcastle. You see a backhoe working there. You move down to the airport. You see a backhoe and a truck working there. Gentlemen, the people of St. James, they're not stupid. They understand exactly what is going on. People have backhoes and trucks and excavators and they are not working. So now you have to find work for them to do. In every nook and cranny in the constituency. It's not like the gut came down next to Perth and so you have to go and clear something there. We can't remember the last time we had some heavy rain. And the culvert got blocked in that area. It has not happened for a very long time. So you're wondering, what is going on? What is going on? And it is so obvious. What is happening? These machines have to work. They have to pay their loans. And the only place it seems that they can have a payday is from the government. Not even the private sector is engaging in their services. It is the government that is engaged in their service. And it has become worrisome now. Because these things fall at the feet of the taxpayers of the country. And Mr. Brantley, the Honorable Brantley, was heard to say on the radio that people are coming out to Culturama events because money is in their pockets. My God. I was wondering if he's thinking about himself who has 2 salaries. Because the people of Nevis, we don't have 2 salaries. We have 1 salary. If you're lucky. If you're like Dr. Daly, you have none. Because they fired him. Or if you're like Dr. Martin now, you have to look to your pension. And nothing else. And so this afternoon we need to examine whether money is in the pockets of the people of Nevis. And I have to give the people of Nevis a warning. Whatever pay you get this Culturama, save it. Please. I'm not saying you must not go and enjoy yourself. But don't let Brantley tell you that money is in your pocket when it is not there. Don't let him try to give the impression as if there's an abundance of money in Nevis. Because we all know what is happening to the
businesses in Nevis. We all know what is happening to the economy of Nevis. Yesterday afternoon, on my way home, I stopped at a shop in Newcastle. And I was wondering what is going on a Friday afternoon. Nobody was in sight. Nobody was in sight. They want to build a rural economy on backhoes and trucks. But the shopkeeper had no one on a Friday afternoon on payday. No one, not even buying a Caribbean in the shop. And I was wondering what was happening. But it is state of the economy in Nevis. And the shopkeeper is saying, when I count up my money on a Saturday morning, as to what I made on a Friday, sometimes I want to bawl and cry. Because it is not even half what she used to make. That is the state of play in the economy of Nevis. And lastly, NIA, the new owners of Herbert's Beach. My God. 14 acres of land for recreation. And maybe I need to make a comment on that a little later. Thank you, Dr. Daly.
Thank you, Patrice. I think we are on the singing from the same hymn sheet today with this backhoe economy that we have and excavator economy. I marvel at Brazier's estate. The roads, they started in January, Mr. Hector, and they've yet to complete them. The work is being dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. They have now put down the curb machine, the curbs at the back road. They have pressed the soil, the fill from the mountains. They have put in a lot of hours in that drain, in that program.
Yeah, hello?
Hello? Yes, you're on.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Minister, I just heard you talking about 1.7 million. This is a cultural village, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, I've been racking my brains. Have they installed some incredibly sophisticated sounding and lighting equipment? Because no matter how hard I think, and even when I try to overestimate by $100,000 and more, I get up to about the total construction cost should be in the region of $600,000. Because the boats are made of containers, right?
Yes.
And the whole area was concrete to begin with, so they just had to pave the outer portion of the land, right?
That's correct. Right. That's correct. And put in some bathrooms.
Well, so if we're really generous, let us say it's $700,000 for the construction. Where is the 1 million?
Well, that's a big.
Because if a contractor was paid $700,000 to do that, he would be smiling all the way to the bank.
But remember, Carla, there were several contractors. There were 14 contractors on site at the same time.
But the number of contractors doesn't matter. The cost of work is the cost of work.
But you see, when you have one contractor who's doing the painting, going to cost the government $55,000 to paint those containers, then you got a problem.
So what you're telling me is that but I still want to know where the 1 million gone, because the cost of construction is the cost of construction.
I agree, but you see the situation.
I mean, the government is selling house and land, 3-bedroom house, for what? 300?
300 and change.
So what you're telling me is that is with the value of the land attached to the house. So the cost of building a a 3-bedroom house to the government then is about 250.
That's right.
Well, 250 into 1.7 million. How many times that goes?
A lot. That's about 13. That's about 13 houses.
No, actually, the math works out to about 7 houses. I think. No, you're right. 4 would be 100,000 times 10.
Yeah.
No, 4 would be a million.
4 would be a million.
And then another 3.
Yeah,
That's
7.
7
About
houses.
7 houses.
So what you're telling me is the value of a construction that was done up at the... And I think it's wonderful that the village has been upgraded. I think that's excellent. But Lord, the cost, man. I think their calculator must have the decimal point displaced. Right? I think they need to invest in a new calculator.
Caller, this is not an issue in a calculator. You're talking about what I would call gross incompetence. You're dealing with a minister he can only show us photographs.
Well, it's one of two things. It's either gross incompetence or it's gross graft.
Maybe more, maybe both.
And I don't mean the agricultural type.
But you raise a point there, caller, that, when you put it in context and perspective of figuring out, because I think the houses at Cherry Garden, Mr. Hector, correct me if I'm wrong, a 3-bedroom house at Cherry Garden was coming at what price?
275.
275. Give or take a couple dollars. 275. And if you put it in perspective, if you're spending $1.7 million, like you calculate, it's about 7 homes. 7 3-bedroom homes at Cherry Gardens is what the cultural village should look like. 7 homes in there, perfectly done, fitted out with bathrooms and cupboards and tiles and electricals and painting, etc., etc. So when you start putting in the context of that, you start seeing how ridiculous the amount seems.
Well, my question is very simple. Where the money gone? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think I know the money gone.
All right, gentlemen.
All right. I think where the money gone is the fact that you have had persons who are doing work who, when the project officer is questioning the level of their bids or their contracts, they fast dial the minister, the speed dial the minister, who then gets instruction to pay. Don't ask her questions. This is what happened. When you have backhoe operators parked and they ask to remove themselves from the site, and a speed dial comes through to the Minister of Sports, pay the gentleman. Don't make no fuss. What do? You have to pay. Is it own money? It's not his money. This is the Treasury's money. But this is a level. This is a level of behavior that went on. This is why you had a project should cost less than $1 million, costing twice as much. This is what happened. You see.
Whether we want it, there's another caller.
Yes, a question to you all. There was a commission of inquiry held in Nevis some years back, and it was found out that some checks, about a year of checks, went missing. I would like to know how could that be possible? That government things go missing and nobody went to prison. Not from the Treasury, not from the government, nothing. So is it not possible that these things could happen again, that these things have been done and then these chicks could just disappear? And then friends would just say, bye, let me just forget all of their division. I'm not going to stand for that. I'm planning to start a lump movement, a lock-up movement in Navy. This thing don't continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The caller is a very important factor. The check was a mystery issue. I believe that Nivision missed an opportunity for accounting. The Commission of Inquiry was fought. The same way Brown Hill Communications was fought. Anything to unearth the truth was done. I want people to understand that 2 of the projects that you must bring under an inquiry is the Gingerland Highway Road, whatever you may call it, and Hanley's Road project. and also this containerized village. You have to investigate it. You must look at it and see exactly where the money went. Because it's no way. Let me tell you something. People are talking, It seems like if you are a project manager now on any government project, you get 10%. That's very good. That is what I'm hearing. Yep. So somebody somewhere would have been allotted $170,000. This is what you got to look at. And listen, I'm saying to you, people are talking. And this is why I'm saying we need to investigate. And we ain't reached the hospital yet. And we ain't reached the Mondo truck yet. I am saying to you, people are talking. They are seeing things. And they are coming forward and asking us as voices of the constituency to expose these issues. So I'm waiting. Because I'm watching the hospital. And I ain't saying nothing yet. You see what happened in St. Kitts the other day? One of our chief architects came out and tell you the fees that they are calling and the figures that they are calling for the Basti High School can never be right. It's coming from a man who's in the business on a day-to-day basis. And so people are talking. You spoke about a situation there where someone cried out, so for the goodness of God, I cannot have a backhoe in the villa working and ain't doing the work. And somebody had the minister on a speed dial. And guess what? Pay the man. Pay the man. And that is the nature of what we are seeing in Nevis over the last 6 months or so. So CCM aim during the last year in office can be nothing else but to empty the treasury. And while we're on the treasury, Dr. Daly, I want to say our government now, 113 million from the federal government, and you remember the envelope of the $75 million that they went to approve? Said they just wanted to increase the envelope and they were not going to spend it? This country is going to be broke at the end of the day. So you have now look at it, $113 million evaporated already, and now you're going into what? The 75 million, the overdraft. That's 75 million that you increase to allow the country to borrow. Nobody is going to tell me that that was not the planning. That is the level of planning that we have taking place in this country.
It's more, you see, going further, Mr. Hector, you realize that every day, almost every day, you're hearing of a new project being launched, funded by grants or loans from the SIDF. The pier at Mosquito Bay, SIDF grant, and a part grant, part loan, I understand. These things have to be paid back, Once it's a loan, it has to be paid back. And we're going as if it's play money. Somebody got to be responsible for it. And so I've said before, and I keep saying, that this government here is using the treasury as a weapon against the opposition. They're using it as a weapon against the people of Nevis. They weaponize the treasury, matter of fact. They're shooting shells made of dollar bills at people. This is what is happening.
Yes, Dr. Daly. And it bothers me because I tell you, people are watching. A man handed over a check from the SIDF at the hospital, and his business is listed as one of the businesses that will be contracted on it. People are watching, Dr. Daly. And this is why I am saying here on Target, we have to continue to keep the issues alive, because people are realizing what is the culture of this concerned citizens movement. So how many more checks will pass? And we have that sort of benefit in taking place. These are the questions that you have to ask yourself.
But a check for $5 million was passed for the finger pier, Mr. Hector. A check for $5 million was passed from the SIDF to Housing and Land, to the Minister of Housing and Land, to build the pier at Mosquito Bay. And you ask yourself, which law firm in Nevis was the law firm that handled that transfer title? Which law firm?
I believe, Dr. Daly, that things like these, they don't need to be multiple choice questions. You need to put down all the facts. Who benefiting from the Anbas case? Who benefiting from Nevlec? And you could add who is benefiting from the pair over at Mosquito.
It's only one person, Daniel Brantley and Associates. And you wonder, you see, Mr. Hector, my mother always told me, my father always told me the same thing. Never jealous of man who he got, because you don't know how you come by it. You never know how you come by it. You understand? And so when you see people driving around all fancy and looking crisp and clean, don't think their hearts are clean. Don't think the pockets are clean, because you don't know how to come by it. You understand? And you wonder whether there are no other law firms on St. Kitts and Nevis that can handle a simple transfer of title from one owner to an next without involving Brantley and Associates.
Dr. Daly, I have with me the judgment, and it is now placed in the Gazette.
Which judgment is that?
The judgment in the Ann Hendricks Bass case. Yes, it is there. And guess what? This is exactly what we were waiting for. Paragraph on page 24. I want you to listen to this. On June 29th, Mr. Brantley emailed me stating that the manager for the Candy development asked if I was interested in purchasing the property. Stop there. Mr. Brantley emailed Miss Bass, this is a government minister, stating that the managers for the Candy development asked if I was still interested in purchasing the property. I move on. He said that he would be in Nevis in July and he wanted to meet with me. That's June 29th. On July 22nd, 2015, listen good now, Mrs. Brantley emailed me and said that the Chinese owners of the land were willing to sell the land to me for $2.5 million. With me being responsible for the transactional fees, including transfer tax and realtor fees and legal fees. It's not me. It's right here. $2.5 million. It goes on down at Q. Via email communications between Mrs. Brantley, broker for the developer, and Julian Lethbridge, my partner on my behalf, the developer and I agree upon the purchase price of $2 million plus the 10% transfer fees. Now, it is interesting for you to look at the difference between the $2.5 million quoted by Mrs. Brantley and the settlement of $2 million plus a 10%. This is what I want people to realize. Don't mind the high heel shoes and the Victoria's Secret garment. They are crooks. They are crooks. Don't mind the Elizabeth Taylor bag and all this where you said Dooney and Burke that you're seeing. Michael Kors and all these brand names. It's documented here. No minister should allow a judge to be calling his wife and his name like that.
Good afternoon, call. You're on target. Hello? I think you lost that one. Go ahead, Mr. Hector.
We go on. And this is what the lady said.
Hold on. Yes, go ahead, caller.
Hello, good afternoon to everybody there on the panel.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You guys expect anything else better from Mark Ryan Bradley
Who's that?
and Timothy Harris?
The one man protest? Okay.
Oh yes, and more to come. More to come.
You have to stand up,
You
man.
see, because Peter Lady passed up when they get back home to the quarters.
I realize people in this country is funny. And I just laughed. She said to me, oh, you look so stupid protesting by yourself. I said, my lady, Rosa Parks sit down on a bus by herself. Black people could be on the bus today. Mandela went to jail by himself. A lot of things went on in South Africa. I stand for what I believe in. And I'm saying that Mark Bradley, how people could look up to this guy. Mark Bradley sit there and listen to Timothy Harris saying that lawyer Anthony banned water to sink it. Knowing him, well knowing that his wife is not from St. Kitts and Nevis. He and Van Samri. Not that I'm knocking foreigners, but the hypocrisy, it is Mark. Who playing cricket in Nevis today? And the Patriot. How the Patriot come to get to be Nevis? The same Mark Bradley said Douglas waste money on the park. He waste money on the lights. Nevis have test cricketers. St. Kitts does not have any. But yet Grove Park is stinking dirty. He's building a track. This is the map for you.
1.7 million.
This is the map, Bradley. How people could vote for these people. I mean, let's talk about honesty. Listen to what you're reading there. The problem in St. Kitts and Nevis today, sir, it is not country above self anymore. It is self above country. Look at the Bastille High School. You had a group of people who was very adamant and speaking on behalf of the children. Charlie Morton, Ron Collins, and all these teachers was one speaking on behalf of the children. Where are they today to speak on behalf of the same kids who now they want to put in a school down the road could all get sick if it goes wrong. They destroy our whole community, could probably destroy our whole country, and everybody sitting back and doing nothing. When I leave the street, Kennedy Alphonse Simmons stand up in front of Bako down where Ross University be today. But today, it is wrong for people to protest. They went down up in Curtis Martin face. Stop him in the square when he come in with the child. It was okay then, but it's wrong for me to stand on foot on Church Street. Well, people, I will be in town as much as I can. I believe what I believe in. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, caller. Yes, Mr. Hector.
Dr. Daly, I'm going on to S before I give another chance because I need to go slow because people are asking. At S, this is what is in the judgment. I'm on page 24, so those people could follow me. This is what is being said by the lady. I transferred $2.25 million on August 10, 2015 to complete the sale. The terms of the purchase and sales agreement were finalized. You're talking about a minister selling something that he ain't own. We need to look at that. And that she's saying, and I want you to follow me, Attorney Dear Forrester of Daniel Brantley and Associates, on behalf of the developer, emailed Attorney Richards on September 2nd and stated that she sent the finalized PSA to her client for execution. That is the purchase and sale agreement. So I want people to understand, from the promise of Brantley right down to the transfer landing straight across to his firm is what I want people to understand. We have it here now. It is nicely documented. It is the last piece of the pickings that we wanted. We have it now, and we are ready to move forward to greater heights. Dr. Daly, don't ever let you and your wife's name be called in any judgment by any court as a lawyer or as a politician 35 times. And then you want to be around giving people the impression that you're so holier than thou. We have to keep our eyes on them. And they say week after week, We're going to dissect it because every Nivision must understand what we are talking about. We must have a full courtroom.
Well, I just find it amazing. I find it amazing, Mr. Hector, that the gentleman in question, the Honorable Mark Brantley, would interject himself in such a manner where he is acting on behalf of his wife in office, referring to Ms. Anbas, if you're interested in purchasing, talk to my wife. Why is it the Chinese developers did not go straight to the Ms. Anbas to purchase the land? Why were they transiting through Daniel Brantley Associates? Why? Why was he the go-between? He's collecting from both sides. His law firm was the same firm that incorporated that development. So he's collecting monies, fees from the Chinese for incorporation purposes. He's collecting monies from the transfer title from the private owners to the Chinese. He's collecting again. Jesus, man. How much time do you want to collect on one transaction? There are no other liars, Mr. Nisbet. You know several. It's really, really bad. But it is shocking. I would like to hear the comments from the Honorable Patrick Nisbet regarding this matter, because he's a parliamentarian from St. James. So this directly affects him.
Dr. Daly, I believe that we have spoken at length about this judgment. I don't really have the judgment before me this afternoon, but at some point in time, I will have it before me. But, a lot of people went around this country, including Mark Brantley, and he spoke to the people of the nation that between 2006 and 2013, there was no decency, there was no integrity in public life in Nevis. And he pledged to the people of Nevis, if you gave me a chance to be in the government, I am going to restore accountability. I am going to restore transparency. And I'm going to restore integrity in public life. One of the major mantras of Mark Brantley was to get legislation called integrity in public life. That was his mantra. Wherever he went to the OECS, he spoke. He spoke in the National Assembly, he spoke in the Nevis Island Administration, and he had a constant theme about integrity in public life. And what do we have today? A judge of our courts sat in Nevis over 2 days. It was not a secret. It was an application for judicial review. As a matter of fact, when this case was first brought, you know what the government side sought to do with the truth? They sought to bury the truth. They sought to get this matter struck out in our courts. They sought to stop Anbas from ensuring that sunshine, which is the greatest disinfectant, shone on the truth in this country. And so it took the Court of Appeal to say no. What the argument you're making was a wrong argument, and you must go back. And this matter must be heard, and the truth must be heard, and the people of Nevis must know that our leaders are going to Long Hall Bay to drink the finest wine. And making sure that real estate transactions are entered into, and they are the beneficiaries of those real estate transactions. I remember Brantley saying, and I think he took Cozier to task. I believe there's a defamation suit that came out as a result. He said that Cozier was in the government
And Cousin knew when businesses were coming to Nevis, what he did as a government minister was to ensure that he benefited from those businesses. I remember there was a matter that went and ventilated in our courts. But what is he doing today? As a government minister on government stationery. And as the deputy premier of this country, he is writing letters to a potential purchaser and saying, you want land to buy? Well, contact my wife. That's what he's doing. Well, who is caught in a transaction that does not demonstrate accountability? That does not demonstrate transparency and does not demonstrate integrity. Who is caught in that? The same Bradley who was speaking so eloquently and so vociferously against these things. And so I want to say to him, if you're doing it, and we know you're doing it, stop it. Because it's not good. I remember you coming into the parliament a day in Nevis, and you said Hector and I were benefiting from being in the cabinet, and you gave us a warning. You say if we are doing it, stop it. I say to you today, stop it. Because it is in the judgment.
We have a caller. Yes, caller, go ahead, please.
Mr. Patrice Elizabeth, Lindsey Grant went to the Marriott and sit down with somebody to give him relax. Did anybody tell Lindsey Grant he was wrong? Who can tell Mark Grant he was wrong?
The voters.
Huh?
The voters need to tell him he's
We
wrong.
agree. But Mark is the one talking about integrity in public and not anything. You guys know what's going on down there in the National Bank? Who resigned from the National Bank? I wonder why. Who resigned from the National Bank? I wonder why. People need to get serious with these things, you know. That's why I like America to a point. Because everybody would have been investigated. Look at what's going on with the Boston High School. Why 40-something million, how much of a million is going to that Barbados company? Is so much they love the company or they love the petition people? Which one? What do they love? That is the question we need to be asking. We need investigation. We need answers. And nobody is being accountable for all these foolishness right in front of the face. Right in front of the face. Because if it was not true, Mark Brand will take the whole team of you there under the clock. Because you are calling his name. That's right. Some people now become Richards. They can't hear and they can't see. Everything is wrong. Listen again. If it was not true, the whole team there would have been under the clock. Because you are calling Mark Bradley and his wife's name. So something definitely wrong. What is going on? People need us. Wake up. Look at the issues. Yes, you love Mark, but not in them kind of behaviors. It's long time I don't trust Mark. Listen to Mark behavior. Think it was wrong in everything. He went all over the world, bad mouth in your own country. Harry said, let the guns blaze. Timothy said, you're most likely to get killed in St. Kitts and Nevis than in Jamaica. Mark Bradley, listen to all them foolishness. St. Kitts is like Haiti. My God. But if you love your friend, you're supposed to tell him when he's wrong. Mark is about Mark and his family and himself. Timothy is about Timothy and his family and themselves. They are eating down St. Kitts flat. My God, with these people. Evenness at the highest level. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Patrice?
You know, caller, I won't say a man must not be about himself. Because I myself is about myself. But I'm also about others. But at the same time,
the protocols, the regulations, the laws dictate that you cannot use your public office for personal gain. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. So if you want to be about yourself, stay in the private sector. Stay here in your business, and you go about the cut and thrust of being in private business, and then you can do whatever it takes once it's legal in order to have personal gain. That is perfectly acceptable. But there are certain rules when you take the high responsibility of public office. You cannot use that public office to advance your own business so as to benefit yourself and your family. Those are the basic rules. And that's what he was saying, you know. He was saying that the federal government was afraid to bring integrity in public life legislation. And what did he do as a part of a Nevis Island administration? He introduced into the Nevis Island Assembly a bill to regulate integrity in public life. I'm sure, Mr. Hector, you were a part of the debate. You remember, they passed legislation in Nevis regulating the affairs of parliamentarians and public officials here in Nevis. You have another caller?
Yes, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Patrice.
Yes?
On a serious note, I want to say congratulations to your son. I think he made the level on the 13th team.
Yes, he
on
did.
50 team.
Yes, he did.
I am so proud and so happy.
He opened with your son some time ago, sometime in the past.
Years ago, I still have the picture. I still have that picture, and I will say, remember when he took his son and a bunch of them?
Yeah.
And I have that picture, and I'm so proud to see him going from strength to strength, and I wish him all the best.
Thank you very much.
I understand, and I'm very proud of my mistake for not congratulating you on him, and I wish him all the best. And all the other guys from Nevis. And when he comes to cricket, that is my food.
I know. I would forward your congratulations to him when I speak with him.
Yes, no problem.
Thank
all
you.
right, thanks.
You know, gentlemen, up to today, the act that has the ordinance that was passed here in Nevis has never become a part of the law of the land. But you know what? I believe Mr. Brantley remembered Bastio Pande. Bastio Pande passed similar legislation in Trinidad. And he was the first to go to jail. That's a fact. And so today, the ordinance sits and gathers dust on the legislative shelves here on the island of Nevis. And so what you have? People are running wild. And that is why judges can now say today the unusual has happened in the island of Nevis. That is the reality. We have not seen or benefited from this piece of legislation.
You got another call? Go ahead, please.
Yes, gentlemen, look at some of the emails and their date, and look at the date integrity in public life was debated. You all will be surprised that those things was going on when that debate was going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
A very pertinent observation. You know, I don't have the integrity in public life bill before me, but I know there's a section which deals with the issue of abuse of office. As a matter of fact, the act criminalizes abuse of office. That's what it does. It makes it an offense, and it highlights the instances that can amount to abuse of office. And it says one such instance is when you use your position in office for either you to benefit or your family to benefit. That is what the law clearly says. And so we know today, if this integrity
in Public Life Ordinance was activated, some people would have run afoul of that legislation. Some people would have run afoul of that legislation. But you know what we have to do? There is no integrity in public life legislation. So we have to resort to what we call the common law. And there we have the principles of misfeasance and malfeasance in public office. And those are criminal offense. And they are available to any citizen of this country who wants to bring a charge against any public official. They can do it. They can do it. They can move the court once they have the relevant evidence. And when you look at the judgment of Justice Ramdani, that judge who has been around here on a number of occasions, he clearly elucidated in his judgment, and he did it at length, to see the pattern and the behavior.
Paragraph 115. Because here Justice Ramdani is saying, and I quote his word, there is evidence that the unusual happened. The deputy premier and his wife began to speak for the developers who had submitted an application for planning permission.
But Mr. Hector, stop a moment. What do you understand the judge to be saying by the unusual has happened?
The unusual has happened? Mr. Brantley stepped in for himself. He wasn't representing nobody else. Normally you don't have a government minister representing any developer. And his wife also.
Let me ask, government land was involved?
No government land involved. That is the sad thing about this. So the judge spanked him with the tongue buckle. He said there's evidence that the unusual happened.
Oh, and you know, people are convicted on what?
Evidence. That is what carried him in. He went on to say, the evidence shows that the applicant expressed her willingness to buy the property. To my mind, this is relevant to the issue of good administration and any prejudice which may have been caused to the developer. And in his final sentence, he said, here there is evidence that when a complaint was made to the government about a flawed development, the official's response was to inform the complainant that the developer were considering selling
but hold on a second. If there's a complaint about a fraud development, where does the complaint go? Who's responsible for development in the country?
The Minister of Planning.
Exactly.
Not the deputy.
Isn't there planning legislation?
There is. And so his involvement could have only been for one thing, to walk with the whole hog. He and his wife take it away all the way up on the hill where the generators are, where the views are, and make sure that they benefit out of this transaction. $2.25 million.
You have a call? Caller, go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon again. Gentlemen, let's look at the law firm. In the judgment, is there any part in the judgment where they spoke about how the lady was to pay and what she was to pay? Was there any illegality? Was that part of the judgment? You know, did a law firm in Nevis instructed a citizen to break the law? I'd like to get you to discuss that for me, please.
The only legality I saw there, illegality I saw there was this idea about a purchaser paying the stamp duty for the vendor. It is against the law here in St. Kitts and Nevis to suggest in any way that the person who is buying will be responsible for the payment of the stamp duty. That obligation is on the person who is selling. That is the law of the land.
And so, for you and your wife, to be sending to the purchaser that message is gross illegality. In fact, there's a judgment, I believe, Mr. Nisbet, that spoke to that recently. You cannot do it. It is illegal. It is wrong. And here is evidence that it was being done. Today, affidavits. And I say to you, this is part 1. We are going to rip this apart, and we are going to show you, and we are going to bring results to the people of Nevis on this matter. You can tell Brantley Hector, say, if you're bad, bring the act. Come into Parliament and bring the act, and you see what I do with you. Bring the act. We need it. You start it and it's up in the air. Drop it. What up? Drop it.
He doesn't need to go to Parliament. He just need to commence it.
Just
they
commence.
Just need to sign
One time.
it.
One time.
The minister who is responsible for the act, all he has to do is to sign the notice of commencement,
and it's in
and it is the law of the land. It has commenced.
Wouldn't sign.
That's all they need to do.
Wouldn't sign.
There you have it. The gentleman who is talking the most in terms of integrity and public life had a lot to say. He said he had a whole suitcase of evidence against the Honorable Hector. A whole suitcase. But the suitcase must get lost and late. The flight hasn't arrived. The flight has not arrived, Mr. Hector. But here we have. There is a Mongolia. What is it? One of the long trips. But the flight has not yet arrived with the luggage. And so the suitcase with all of these things against the Honorable Hector has not arrived. But here we have, of course, the evidence against him and his wife. And like I keep saying, when you see people walking around with their highfalutin ways and always want to, those VIP lounges. Because he's the first minister I know who put a VIP lounge in a culture village.
In the back.
In the back.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
VIP close to the action.
You know, so here we go. You know, and I challenge the minister. You can duck, Mr. Minister. You can hide. But you can't get away from it. Because with you or without you, it's either a malfeasance charge or integrity in public life. Somewhere doesn't catch you up. Because what you've done is clearly illegal. Clearly illegal. And one ain't gonna catch you. So I would suggest to you, avoid the criminal one. Avoid the criminal one. Got us jail. That is jail. Avoid the criminal one. Avoid the malfeasance. And go straight to the Integrity Public Life Act and simply bow out of the ring. Because it's coming for you. One or two will catch you up. All right? Either by the hook or by the crook, we can catch you up. Mr. Hector, we're going to move on. Because there are so many things. I saw in a post that somebody sent to me where the Honorable Mark Brantley, who is, again, pushing this plastic bag knapsack issue about believing yourself, he's back again. And his comment to one of the people commenting to him was, well done, Spencer Brand, your opponent in Charlestown, or you should say your sub-opponent. And he's saying, well done. And the minister is responding basically, and this is his exact words, Mr. Hector. And Marvin, of course, we made a comment. He said, Marvin, I am putting that salary to good use, LOL. I'm assuming he's talking about the double salary he's getting. So he's trying to relate the fact that the double salary he's getting, that money is being used to pay for these knapsacks that says believe in yourself. And Spencer Brand is commenting that some goodies should go into the bag. Some goodies should go into this bag. And I say, well, if you want to put a goodie in the bag, Mr. Minister, put in a laptop in it. Put in a laptop in it. Because you can't take out a program like one-to-one laptop when this day and age is a computer age. Computer age. Right? I want Mr. Hector to comment on this issue with Spencer Brand talking about put something in the bag.
What was it? Spencer Brand at this time is behaving like a little puppy for Mark Brantley. I'm not ready to deal with him yet. He has announced that a new brand is in town. Yeah. He better make sure that it is a copacetic brand. I'm not ready for him yet. Let him stay at the hospital for now because we are going to check those records. Mr. Brand, has not demonstrated to me that he understands anything. Look, anytime there's a comment, it's something where Mark say he tag on, and then Sheila is tagged with him.
Yes.
Like two little puppies behind Mark Brantley.
Yes.
The war is going to start. And it's going to be on issues, not on foolishness. I am going to guard Charlestown. They're trying all kind of thing at the electoral office. But Spencer and I fully know. For 4 years, he couldn't even fix a court in Charlestown. And all of a sudden, he claiming roads that I built, project where I built up in Hamilton. I ain't get vexed yet. It's a whole project was expanded up there that Spencer Brand couldn't help. You have drains now in front of People's Gap in the new development there. They can't get in. Spencer is an engineer. He we gonna blame for that then? Because the race is between he and I. The building that they break down so they'll gone with all the things. Is Spencer gonna blame for that? You can't even have anything serious in Charlestown. All kind of dogs walking around. You can't find a garbage bag to put a little garbage in on a Friday afternoon. Spencer Brand is the man for that. Gentlemen, he ain't started yet. The time is going to come.
I'm looking forward to that. We still have the call online?
Yes, Ben.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to say to the minister who is giving us, I'd like to ask you, do you all know when CISEC is going to have its examination and complete? I'm done with the book. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you something. We're already marking online. I was one of the old markers who used to travel to Trinidad to mark CSEC papers. But now you're doing everything online. And, that's taking the joy out of a lot of that marking. But it will come a time when everything will be electronic. Everything will be electronic. I know when I was at CFBC, we started an electronic library, periodicals and journals and books, thousands and thousands and thousands of publications that you have access online. I don't know how you access it from a knapsack, Mr. Nisbet. Is it possible? Maybe these knapsacks have telepathic powers, so you could just look into it and you can see what's on screen somewhere else. And it's funny. It has artificial intelligence knapsack. It is funny that they're going backwards. The computer age is marching so far ahead now. And we are going backwards with this nonsense about give the children a knapsack and saying believe in yourself. When your kids have 2 and 3 at their disposal and all smartphone and iPad and all kind of things. But poor people children are not supposed to get anything. That's remarkable. But we move on. We move on again. Because there was another post, Mr. Hector, where the Honorable Mark Brantley was thanking or welcoming all the visitors to St. Kitts and Nevis, especially to Nevis, for all the family groups and the reunions, etc., etc., etc. And he's saying they should go the length and breadth of Nevis to see the improvements and see the projects, etc., etc. Well, I'll tell you something, Mr. Brantley. You want them to see the projects. I'll tell you what. Let's go. Show them, Mr. Brantley. For please sake. Show them the 14 project, the 18 hotels you said you're going to bring to Nevis. Show them one of the 18 you said you're going to bring. Even Candy Resort. For Christ's sake, show them something. Show them one of those things. Show them the open pit at the landfill with raw sewage that is stifling the people at Long Point, Cherry Gardens and Prospect. Show them that for a change. Show them all the tires filled with mosquito larvae down there at landfill. Show them that as part of your program to welcome them to Nevis. Show them the container up at the hospital with the dialysis machines rotting away. $600,000 worth of division money sitting in those containers rotting away because you have no heart for persons suffering from end-stage renal failure in this country. Show them that. Show them all the projects up that are not completed. Show them Brazos Road. Started since January. And you see trucks and backhoes still parked there collecting pay every day. And there's no further progress on the road. No further progress. I think somehow they're waiting for another shower rain to come to wash out the road. So another set of money could be paid to their supporters. Show them that. Show them the park at Pinnies, Mr. Hector. Show them the park at Pinnies that you promised. Starting shortly. Everything is starting shortly. After culture. Last year after culture. Show them that. They eat it. What's it? They want pain. They want pain from Bath. The community center. Alberta Pain Community Center. Again, starting soon. Coming soon, repairs. We wanted to have a town hall meeting in Bath at the community center. Couldn't do it. Because they said the Alberta Pain Center is not up to scratch. But he's saying, take a look. They're going to start soon. Everything's starting soon. The treasury is starting soon. The hospital is starting soon. The building where the old nursing quarters was, that's starting soon. The Monday track started soon and it's all can't go no further. Out of money. Can't go no further. It was supposed to be ready since April. Now they're saying culture armor. Now they're saying the end of the year. Starting soon. Another thing coming soon. I'll tell you something. You can't be fooling people so often, Mr. Brantley, Mr. Jeffer. You can't be fooling people.
You need to read. I need to read this to the public. I don't know if you remember when the CCM government was under pressure. He issued a statement saying, as minister, he started as minister of the NIA with responsibility for information. He didn't bring no information about the disappearance of the cash machine, the ATM machine. None. But he came. But this is the interesting thing that I laughed about. The NIA, using his words, is also looking seriously at other sources of water, including desalination, to ensure that our water supply stays ahead of demand, especially in the light of the new developments on the way, such as Paradise Beach, Candy Resort, Nivision Sunset, Four Seasons Resort Estate, Butler's Residence, Fisherman Cabanas, Amman Resort, Oasis Resort, and Wyndham Grand Hotel.
What, Mr. Hector, where are they?
Coming soon. This is what you these are the things that are coming soon.
I want a bag from Mr. Brantley. Mr. Brantley, listen to me carefully. I want a knapsack. Please. From me personally, the mark coming soon. I really want a knapsack. That's it, coming soon.
Not believe in yourself.
Not believe it. I believe myself enough already. But I want one that's coming soon because it give me hope. It will give me hope that something will happen. But some life-changing event gonna occur that will improve my life because I'm telling you, coming soon, so good.
Or on the way.
On the way.
Dr. Daly, the people of Nevis no longer thinks about hope. We have moved beyond that.
Desperate.
We're about expectation. So
deliveries.
It's that they were accustomed to delivery under the Nevis Reformation Party.
You're right.
When we told you that we were going to do something for the people of Nevis,
we did it.
The NRP did it. And we did it in style. And we did it to ensure that we improve the quality of life for all Nevisians. What we have come to expect in the last 4 years is just talk, and more talk that has not brought any results for the people of Nevis. And Mr. Hector, when you talk about people saying they're going to bring a desalination plant, you know what does that mean? A desalination plant requires a lot of electricity, a lot of power.
But Patrice, your
vision of electricity.
But you forget the man said they're going to try to switch for geothermal in the power.
When? In what year?
Well, they said 2017.
2017.
We're not finished yet.
It can be 3017.
The year is not finished yet. We're halfway through.
Tomorrow we are going to be in August shortly. And that is the 8th month of the year. I don't think you will be able to develop and commission a geothermal plant in 4 months.
Hope springs eternal.
Mr. Hector.
If you can give me a bag marker and believe in yourself, listen, I have to believe.
You spoke about the people of Nevis getting accustomed and not hope, but they actually got the realization because of expectation. We were bold when we say our first 300 days, we are going to give you a major road development program island-wide. I remember Mr. Nisbet, you were up in Abaco, showing to the nation that the road work would have started. We told them we were going to abolish the 12% the land, this sort of charge, administrative fee they used to push on people at land and housing. That was removed. We told you we're going to reduce the selling price of land to divisions, and you had your first time buyer program. We delivered. We also told you that we are going to have developing community policies and strategies for crime prevention, crime reduction, and police community partnerships. You saw them. So I understand what you say. You know, I saw something here. Completion of the construction of the Paradise Road to Bahansgot. These are things, and I think what is happening, it is, when you talk about skill, bringing a cabinet together with people who understand what they're about to do and moving forward. The daily, I remembered when, I told somebody you were coming from the school and you were going to be in charge of agriculture. They were saying, but he teaches biology. How does that fit into the overall scheme? I believe we were way ahead of these people. I don't think that the concerned citizens movement in any way could be ranked in terms of the performance of the Nevis Reformation Party. And before we left, $30 million to transform the sector. You know more about it than me. And we lost it because of incompetence and fellas not understanding the stages in these sort of international projects. I'm going to put it in Bath. We're in Bath. Somewhere by Fun Radio. I mean, these are the things you hear. These are the things you hear. But I'm happy to be a part of a Nevis Reformation Party who've delivered unto the people of Nevis. And I'm saying, in the quest of any discussion right now, delivery is important. These half projects that we spoke of, the backhoe, I see one somewhere in the gut down at CSS to the back of Island Tires. And I say, well, something is happening. These fellas seem like they had a contract with government to pay the mortgage on some of these equipment. In Newcastle, I am told that you drop dirt at one end that was intended for the other end. What foolishness we are having. And then you have two excavators. Two excavators were never even put on Grove Park, much less on the VOJN primary school. That is the nature of what is happening. This pork barrel approach to governance for some people who are just their supporters.
Thank you, Mr. Hector.
Mr. Nisbet did say, I need to see how Mr. Nisbet would spend his 1.7 million.
I'm sure he spent it much better than that. We'll take a short break and we'll come back in a few minutes.
Get in touch with your favorite presenter or go live on Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM by calling local line 1-869-469-5300. Calling from overseas? No problem. Call 1-203-983-8903. It's your SKN Choice Times and we want to hear from you.
During Culturama, Barrels for Change, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, invites you to attend its first ever fair on July 28th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. Paul's Church. Attendees of the health fair will benefit from free early detection and preventative health screenings and educational opportunities. Some of the exciting opportunities that will be available include screenings and testings for blood pressure, blood glucose, dental checks, HIV, syphilis and hepatitis B and C. Educational and informational opportunities include diabetes and cardiovascular prevention and a sex educational seminar for young adults. All screenings and testings will be completely free of charge and results will be released only to you. Please join us for a day of snacks, information and fun. For more information, please contact Alexandra Hospital Administration at 469-5473 or 469-5474 or the Health Promotion Unit at 469-8010.
Where the press is free and every man is able to read, all is safe. That is the motto of the national newspaper of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the SKN Leeward Times. Be sure to purchase our latest issue at our many distributors, including TDC City Drugstore, Slacks Liquor, Chapter 1 Bookstore, Dongfang Supermarket, Superfood Supermarket, Island Tires and Hardware, Ram Supermarket, Hosford's Value Mart, Cost Me Less, Best Buy Gingerland, X Petrol, E&F Enterprise, Mansa's Last Stop, and A.V. Jones and Sons. Stay up to date with what's going on in the Federation, the wider Caribbean, and the whole world. Buy yourself a copy of the SKN Leeward Times newspaper. For more information, be sure to call 1-869-469-1049 or log on to our website www.sknclt.com.
Power rules the world today. Power corrupts, they say. And absolute power corrupts you. Absolutely. It can change a man who has a heart of gold, make him cruel, wicked, self-centered and cold. Many men in this land, many organizations fought for freedom and justice throughout the land. When they have power and authority, they don't give a damn about nobody. Prostituting the island to all and sundry, they peddling my people's right, exploiting, oppressing, less freedom, more suffering. I wonder how we survive. Think it over, my friend. Think it over again. Think it over, don't vex with me, shorty. Think it over, I'm singing as I see. Food we can't even buy, murder the price too high. Malnutrition killing the children while we the adults starving. Yet the price is rising without control. Young man begging bread by the side of the road. And Chamber of Commerce in this land, I tell you, they don't give one damn.
Back to On Target. Joining us again in the studio is the Honorable E. Roberta Hector and the Honorable Patrice Nisbet. And we are discussing the issues of importance to the country and to us personally. And I was amazed, Mr. Nisbet, Mr. Hector, that I was reading a Facebook post by the Honorable Mark Brandley. Somebody sent me a picture, we call it a screenshot. Because I don't go to his posts for personal reasons. I don't want any demons coming onto my phone. So somebody sent me a screenshot of a post where he is promising that in the next dispensation that he would entertain the development of a flight school here on Nevis. Now you recall just last week Monday, Virgil Brown, the candidate for St. James, put his plans for St. James forward. And the plan included quite prominently a retooling or reuse of the Vance Emery International because there was nothing happening there. And so the young gentleman from St. James would have indicated to us and to the world that he would like to see a flight school as part of the redevelopment of the airport. And lo and behold, it has now caught fire with the Honorable Mark Brandley. So the Honorable Mark Brandley now saying it's a brilliant idea and he intends to do it in his next term. So another coming soon. So Virgil, you have moved the minister. 4.5 years, and you just come in the last show arena and move the minister. It's amazing how empty the man is, really. You have somebody texted me a while ago and asked that I speak on the issue where, with the retirement of the Deputy Governor General, that no special session of the House was held to honor him, knowing that he was ailing and knowing that, it'd be a good send-off for the gentleman. Nothing was being done. Nothing has happened. And so the good gentleman now is on Facebook, Mr. Brandley, giving all sort of accolades to the service of the late Eustace John. But while he was alive, nothing came from him. He is the leader of government business. He's not Mr. Nisbet? Yeah. Okay. But he saw nothing fit about invoking or convening a parliament to give credit to the Honorable Patrice Eustace John and for his years of service to this government of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a caller.
You expect Brantley to say anything about Eustace John? Eustace John is not living in England. When something goes wrong in England, he jumps on Facebook. His sympathy goes out to England. But when they kill Philip Wallace in Nevis, he's going to say, if Nevis must be at a standstill because somebody get killed. I still got a screenshot on my phone. So when they're talking, I know what they're talking about. He and Astro. These guys don't care about nobody. They care about themselves. And as Patrice said, yes, you could care about yourself. But what about people? What about the people around you? Yes, everything this guy have done is what he called on and then turned on. You know what just say? I tell you, I'm betting me laugh, I keep saying it. Some years from now, Mark will tell you that weed was good, and he was always for the smoking of the weed, and he was always for this, and he was always for that. I bet you don't come up with that. Because this is Mark. Remember some years ago, he chastised some fellas in Nevis over some track. And he thought it was the first on the feet on the track. Thank you. Same thing over here. The one attack was the worst thing. Douglas wasted money. Who in Nevis today? Patriot. Oh, crime is out of control. We need to have curfew. Close down the carnival. We shouldn't have Culturama. Close down everything. Look what's going on today. Crime is under control. He didn't know nothing about unity. I didn't know nothing about it. He wanted us to SKN because SKN was telling them. No, he's with the unity. Because he expects people to forget. A liar has no memory, and Mark is leading out front. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. But you jogged my memory now because I recall when NRP did the playfield at Brown Hill, he asked persons to boycott. Persons in the community were signing petitions to boycott the event down there, the sports event, to mark the commemoration of the opening of that track. We have a call? Yes. Go ahead, please. Caller, you on.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Couple of things. You mentioned some Facebook posts.
Yes.
Well, a flight school would be a brilliant idea, and as you said, it was the idea of Mr. Virgil Brown. There's no doubt about that. He came up with it first. The interesting thing with that screenshot that's going around, it's a discussion he's having with one Alan. I hope it isn't Alan Haddadi of Nevis Express.
I really hope not.
Because they left the government owing over $2 million US. The government had to pay it off. An OPIC loan. Mm-hmm. And there were 3 officers of Nevis Express when that happened. The company secretary
that must have been Mark.
Was Mark Brantley.
Oh gosh.
The CEO was Alan Haddadi. So I hope that's not who's he's talking with about a flight school. Otherwise the people of Nevis may be paying off another loan from somewhere else. The other thing is, it's interesting, all of these checks you're talking about and payments and 1.7 million. And, please help me with my ignorance. when the government pays a check to someone, who signs it? The treasurer.
Comes from the treasury. So the record would be there.
Okay, so the treasurer is just the treasurer. I think that's Mr. Yes?
That's Mr. Doe, yes.
No. Mr. Doe is the PS.
Oh, the treasurer. Okay, that's the young lady from down in Treasury.
Yes, the lady from over my way.
Yeah.
Okay, so the treasurer is just signing, or he used to be the treasurer, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The treasurer is just signing these checks willy-nilly. And if, because one would assume that the treasurer would have some, there would be some discussion on whether a payment of invoice is valid or not. That's how business is normally done. So, so if I'm hearing and understanding that the treasury is just making payments on instructions, yes?
That's what we're hearing.
The son had said, pay daddy's money.
The treasury. To make things simpler and easier and more efficient, why don't they just give each of the ministers a checkbook? I mean, that would make the whole process far simpler and easier, wouldn't it? Because then maybe you could save the salary of the treasurer, because if the treasurer has to sign on instructions by ministers, well, man, just give the ministers a checkbook and done.
Well, I understand that the banks now in Charlestown are really at a loss to explain why so many checks are coming in for these large amounts, and the persons who are depositing these checks, these are guys who were kicking stone yesterday. You understand? So they have now been encouraged to open business accounts, because you're taking a $25,000, $40,000 check and putting it in a personal account, and your disclosure forms are simply saying pay for service rendered. You understand? It's creating a problem for the banks and to the government also. So
the factor, that's right. Yes, so we're gonna. What you're suggesting is it might cause us to. We're still on the blacklist, right?
Well, I think we're off by now.
Well, if you have large sums of money that are really unaccountable, don't you go back on the blacklist? Sorry?
It's more under our anti-money laundering legislation, and one would want that normally classifies as a suspicious transaction, and there are certain reporting requirements that have to be done. But if you go in the bank and say, listen, this $25,000, obviously the check will be drawn on the government's account, consolidated fund, and it's for services rendered to the Nevis Island administration, who is really going to question that?
That's true, man. Because anytime I take checks to the bank, they want all kind of information.
That's the truth.
Yeah. So I hope the banks will treat the government treasury the same.
Yep. Well, what's happening, like I said, the banks are advising these young people to open business accounts. So it makes the process a little easier for them to deal with. And that's what's been happening. So if you go up to where they issue licenses and they were to disclose to you who all have open business accounts in the last few months, you will see quite a bit of persons from St. James in particular, and from Brown Hill, St. John's, who have been in this trucking, what do you call it, what the minister call it, trucking industry, backhoe and heavy equipment.
Well, anyway, my suggestion is that to make government more efficient, I believe that there should be multiple signatories on the treasury account.
There are.
I think it would be far simpler if each of the ministers could sign, and if they're not available, maybe their personal assistant. And then the whole thing would run a lot smoother.
Well, all that will happen, the treasury empty faster than it normally.
And then but you wouldn't have to have all this speed dialing going on. Because that's basically where it's headed. They actually having if the treasurer has to sign checks by phone calls made by individual ministers. They may as well give the minister the checkbook.
Well, thank you, caller, for the contribution.
Okay.
I remind us all here in the studio and in the listening audience that this is our 5th month since no aggregate has been shipped. And it was a gentle reminder that today is actually the anniversary, or 5th month anniversary. You have a caller. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Yes. Gentlemen, back to let's look at it. We have a premier and the deputy, the Octagon consultant thing, with this money transfer thing and this land thing. So you have the deputy and the premier involved in, something that was 1,000 people signed a petition asking the former prime minister to have investigated. So look at it. Where else in the world you ever hear that both the leaders, the deputy and the leader, being looked at, and still they're running for election? And I don't understand what's going on here. Once NRP win, there has to be a strong legislative policy, because you can't tell me leaving NRP so these things cannot happen. We need laws, gentlemen. We need you to start to discuss legislation that you will put in place to prevent these things in case NRP lose again. Because we just can't have these things going on, and you change the government and we just forget about it. No. Thank you very much.
Well, caller, you raise a point there that the Integrity in Public Life Act is supposed to deal with. But like Patrice was indicating, they're simply waiting for the signatures to get this thing activated. That's all it is. And the NRP has made a commitment that once in office, the Integrity in Public Life bill will be operationalized, and so will the Public Accounts Committee. So these things become much more transparent. We'll get a running total of what is being expended on projects for a change. I'm in Braziers, and you see what's going on there. We have no clue what the regional estimate is. We don't know how much it is now, how much cost overrun has been. We don't know. The people do not know. Right? And this project is only one. You have the Mondo track. 8 million voted in 2016, spent already. And there's 3 million on top of that spent already. And we are nowhere closer to finishing. We have another caller. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Good day again. Let me ask you a question. If I owe a bank billions of dollars, I should be on the bank board? Should I be the chairman of that bank board? Hello?
The Banking Act that we passed in the Parliament, the Federal Parliament some time ago, would clearly indicate that you should not be there because you will not be in a position to discharge your functions as a director of the bank in accordance with the relevant banking statutes, regulations, and policy. There are certain policy guidelines that are actually outlined in the legislation as to what should qualify you and also disqualify you as being a director of these types of public corporations and banking institutions. The legislation is very clear on that matter. And as a matter of fact, the central bank has veto power. The central bank can say that that particular individual should not be a director on a financial institution. The legislation gives the authority to the central bank in that particular situation.
So if it's happening, why are we not doing the central bank?
Well, I can't speak for the central bank. Okay. And so maybe we would have to write to them and direct our concerns directly to the newly installed governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Because once I know that I was hearing that our Prime Minister, our Minister of Finance had delayed for a while to commence the act. I'm not so sure if it has been commenced as yet, but if it has commenced, well then the central bank should exercise its authority
and discretion under the legislation.
Back up, Patrice. You just said something. Delayed?
Yes, the prime. As a matter of fact, we heard from the governor that St. Kitts and Nevis was one of the countries in the OECS who had passed the law, but yet had not activated or commenced it, as we would say, legally.
Not new then. We have done
What
3
to
weeks.
do? I'd like to sing this song. Only.
Christopher.
You guys have a good day.
So, Patrice, by your commentary, then it seems that we have 3 pieces of legislation that up in the air. We have the Public Integrity and Public Life Act, we have the Public Accounts Committee, and now we have this other one from. I tell you guys that we had no airlift. We got plenty airlift. These things are flying out the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, flying out the door. But it is what it is. Gentlemen, Mr. Hector, I think you had a point you wanted to raise about the water situation.
Dr. Daly, the good people of Hamilton, the crisis is still on. And I wanted to go back to the post where they were telling me they're trying to fool the good people of Nevis into believing that the electricity problem is really linked with the water problem.
Electricity?
Yes.
You know, the electricity was off Friday morning. I was at home ironing my shirt to come to work.
How far did you get? Half again?
I got about 3/4 of the way,
and then electricity.
And I had to abandon what I wanted to wear to work on Friday morning.
No, this is serious now, man. But the good people of Hamilton, they're still suffering. The water problems yesterday. My information is telling me that the water supply, the demand outspans the supply. And we have some pumps running for something like 24 hours. There's not going to be any maintenance. So anytime now, we can have the same problem. And to even add insult to injury, I want to tell you that I can recall the minister, Alexis Jeffers. He came out and he had all manner of things to say about the BEAD contract. Mark Brantley, in his post, the one that I read, said that the BEAD arrangement did not materialize. You know we are still with BEAD?
Okay.
You know we are still with BEAD? So nothing has been done, it seems, since 2008 to really do anything to the water situation. And the point I was making is that this thing of desalination coming,
it's a waste of time.
It's just talk. It's just talk. These are fellows who we continue to tell you have no plan whatsoever. I'm amazed that you would tell me that Mark Brantley is now saying that he's bringing a flight school and he's talking to Alan.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, they take Nevisians for granted. And we have to stop it. We have to stand up. So the good people of Hamilton, I'm saying to you, up until yesterday, still having a problem with water.
We may happy for the return of Alan to address certain obligations that he has left here.
Well, I hinted to that earlier because I know quite a bit was left. And he when he left, I understand that he made it to the hills. They were not even sure when he left. So there are I think there's a judgment I recall against, a judgment I came across that is there. And I'm sure he would have to answer once he returns. So that again might just be some sort of foolishness again by Brantley to try and get another photo op moment to say that he's onto an issue that is live. And we've realized that the NRP party, I would tell you, by the time Spencer comes, he's going to say everything that I said in Charlestown, because I don't expect anything new. This is what these guys do. We were thinking about the court in Charlestown, and we said we wanted, the drawing was there, George Hunkins had done it. Get us one like Brownhill. They run 2 weeks after start to fence. And they've fenced before. So it's going to break down. The court is going to crack again because there's no maintenance. The building was knocked down up on the Ramsbury playfield and nothing has replaced it except that you're going to see somebody shooting some levels. You're not certain what is going to happen under this government. So I'm actually worried for the people in Hamilton as it relates to water. They were shortchanged on the road project. Over in Patrice's constituency, everybody got a wall. Down in Hanley's Road, they even gave people money for lands that I understand they didn't take. And the people of Hamilton, they have all kind of water where You have some people, the water that should come from the kitchen is running into other people's yard. No serious attempt was made. And then they up and down telling people how they save money in Hamilton. This is the nature of the guys that we're playing. The issue at Boko Park still need to be addressed. Cut into the people land and didn't pay. So, Charlestown must be treated that way. And then you're going to come and tell me some new brand is in the place and people must take them serious. That's the problem I am having with this government. They don't plan properly, they don't execute properly, and when they do execute, they have to do it 2 and 3 times. So the water situation, gentlemen, during Culturam, I hope those people who are here for the reunion don't have to really suffer the ice cream bucket experience as some of us had. So I'm asking the government, and I'm asking the good people of Nevis rather, to issue a recall as it relates to water. We have said here on Target that where you can't assure security, where you can't give an assurance in terms of electricity, where you can't give assurance in terms of water, there's only one thing you can do with that government: recall that government. And that would be perhaps my last contribution, Dr. Daly, this afternoon. And I'm willing to revisit the water situation again, because I'm going out and I'm doing the research, looking at what is the capacity. I need to know what are the needs of the country. I believe that is where you should start in any project as it relates to water, rather than just saying that you have water. NRP with B did not give you a good arrangement. It never materialized. And after 4.5 years, you have not put nothing in place, and then come immediately. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Shortly coming. You're going to look into desalination.
Well, I understand the good persons up at the vet clinic and the abattoir being told again by the minister responsible, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, that coming soon will be the opening of those 2 facilities. I think he's now saying September, October of this year, given the fact that those 2 white elephants have been sitting there for the last 2 years. Matter of fact, the vet has been sitting there for 3, and the abattoir about 2.
People still have their lunches in there.
People still having their lunches on the porch among the cages of animals up at the vet clinic. But strangely enough, the minister has found $50,000, $60,000. You have a call? We have a call. Thank you, caller. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is money. I'm going to go back to it. We have this new industry, the trucking and heavy equipment industry. Well, and sounds as though there's...
And fencing industry too.
And it sounds as though there's buckets of money going into that industry. But how many machine owners are there, and how many of the population of Nevis are getting benefit from that? Or is it only going to a few? Because if you have a decent industry, you would expect it to the benefits from that industry to spread out into the community. And I am concerned that it may only be a few people who are getting benefit from this, and it's millions of dollars. And the 113 million and 1.7 million, it's always millions I'm hearing talked about. And my concern is that is the general public in Nevis benefiting from this wonderful new industry?
Well, the short answer is no. The population of backhoe operators, and can you remember, there were backhoe operators here before this new inundation of new owners. There were owners here before. But when you speak to the old owners, very few have gotten anything out of the New Deal. Only those who are favored, and those who I understand have shares, who have ministers involved in sharing the cost of purchasing those equipment, are getting the bulk of the work. And so your answer is, your question is, how many people? Very small amount are benefiting from this. But we believe that the reason why so much money is being channeled into a few people is to make sure, just in case the government loses, these equipment are fully paid off. That is why you can't afford to have them sitting down. They're getting work now, excavating guts and back people's backyards.
Oh dear, well, it sounds like you're confirming my worst fears. Because, I would say, to my mind, a bona fide industry would spread its benefits throughout the population, not just to a favored few. And it's very sad to hear that.
And not only that, call. You remember what E.O. Hector said? I think it was Patrice or one of the two. Indicate that the private sector is not making use of this equipment. It's all public sector.
Well, I think what the population needs to ask is, how much benefit am I getting from this new industry of heavy equipment and trucking?
Well, yes.
That's the real question, and it's a question that I feel the general public needs to ask.
But thank you, caller.
Okay.
What we are seeing in addition to this new dispensation, where we have all this heavy equipment coming in and finding work, miraculously finding work. Miraculously. They come off the pier straight to the site, Mr. Hector. Straight to the site. Fully operational, ready to go.
Some are being serviced at the government
repair shop also.
Some are being serviced at the government repair shop. I wasn't surprised if they refuel there also. But there's another industry that we haven't touched really seriously, is the fencing industry.
Fencing industry.
The fencing industry has taken over, has taken apart.
Started in Patrice constituency.
Yeah.
It was the airport, I think, the first. There was a wall went up on the airport. That was the first thing. Then during desperate times, they refenced the drag strip. I see they're doing the cemetery now.
They're fencing the dead people.
Wall Street, you had fence and wall going up. Down in Hanley's Road, it's.
But I see them fencing up by the vet clinic, like I indicated.
Oh, that's fencing.
They're fencing the vet. But here's the thing about it: they fence half the vet. They're fence coming across by the Prospect Road and going down to the abattoir, and there it stops. So I asked myself, then what's the purpose of fencing? I thought the purpose of fencing was for security. So if the idea is to secure the premises, why are you going to put half a fence? You're going to put a fence in the front and a fence to the eastern end, but nothing to the back and nothing to the western end.
And they fence the back of the courtyard too,
They fence the back of the courtyard?
Yeah, they put up a gate now. You can't get in there,
I'm in the wrong business.
Security.
I'm in the wrong business. I'm not in the trucking business. I'm not in the fencing business.
You're in the ice cream business.
I'm in the ice cream business and my ice cream are melting.
No electricity.
So it's amazing. I spoke to a gentleman recently and he told me he was home resting and somebody called. When he looked at it, was the minister. And the minister asked him, "You want a fencing job?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, go here." And the fencing job was his. Simple as that. You understand? So this is what is happening. People are passing money through these projects so that votes can be had, persons' pockets can be lined, and you can vote for the minister because I give you a little fencing work. To fence nothing. Gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of our program today. We went a little bit over last week's program. But before we close off, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet.
Them young cricketers.
Yeah, he probably do. Well, before we do that, I'll let Patrice do that because he's more into the cricket than I am. So we'll hear from Patrice about the performance of our young cricketers and then his closing remarks.
In closing, let me first of all say that I was supposed this afternoon to highlight and to showcase to the people of the country how I would have spent 1.7 million. But I'm going to get back to that next week. I was also to do a critique of this and that song, What a Government, because he was talking about employment. And those are issues that maybe in the heart of Culturama next week, when everybody who will be here will be listening, I'll have the opportunity to educate them as to really what a government we have in Nevis. Gentlemen, I don't know if you would have heard what sort of funeral we'll be having for the Deputy Governor General. Would it be a state funeral or would it be an official funeral? And I would want, on behalf of the people of Nevis 11, to express my sincere condolences to His Honor, to the family of the former Deputy Governor General for the contribution that he has made to public life here in Nevis and also in St. Kitts. He would have made his contribution, he would have served with distinction. Of course, he have had his frustration with the service and with the government of the day, but notwithstanding, I believe he served the people of St. Kitts and Nevis exemplary, and we should indeed record our profound gratitude for his service. We have now been out of a Deputy Governor General for maybe about 3 months, and I have not heard any statement. I have not heard any comment from this existing government as to what is being done to fill the vacancy. Because this is a man who gave notice of his retirement since January. And up to now, we have not heard who is going to replace the Deputy Governor General for the island of Nevis. This is a constitutional post. It is in the Constitution that there shall be a Deputy Governor General for the island of Nevis. And whenever the occasion arises for an appointment, that appointment should be made with haste. And our leaders, we have not heard. We have heard rumors as to who may be eyeing the particular position and as to why it has been left vacant for so long. And so we'll await an announcement from our leaders shortly as to who will be the next Deputy Governor General for the island of Nevis. Of course, this week, the caller who spoke about the situation with the Anbar saga and Octagon Consulting, he jogged my memory. Because this week, the Supreme Court of Pakistan, after a lengthy investigation, ruled that the present Prime Minister does not qualify to be Prime Minister of Pakistan. Mind you, he was not accused of, he wasn't found guilty of corruption. There was the appearance of corruption. Of course, certain things came out of the Panama Papers, which showed that family members of his were channeling monies to buy expensive houses or apartments in Mayfield in London, or Mayfair in London, whatever the area is. And there's a clause in their constitution which basically says if there is the appearance of corruption, you are indeed can be held not to qualify to hold such high position in Pakistan. And so here in St. Kitts and Nevis, you don't have the appearance. The judge is saying that there is evidence. But yet still, some people still occupy high position. Some people admitted that the monies were going into their accounts. If you all remember the speech that was given, he didn't deny it. He gave a speech. But yet still, they are still our leaders today. How much longer are we going to accept this type of mediocrity when it comes to our political leaders here on the island of Nevis? And look what is happening. The Nevis Island administration is now boasting that they own Herbert's Beach. I know Herbert's Beach is not 13 acres of land. What the people of Nevis must know is that the government of Nevis, using its coercive powers, its powers of acquisition, it acquired the land of Seth Foster. 13 acres of land have been acquired for a public purpose, which they refer to as recreation. Recreation. So I don't think they are going to do any touristic. Has to be another Mundo track for the people of St. James. Because you don't need 13 acres for Herbert's Beach. Or the activity that goes on down there during Culturama or whatever. You don't need 13 acres of land for that. And when the Observer reporter, Monique Washington, I believe,
asked the minister here at page 21 of the Observer. He asked the minister the cost of the land. What would it cost you to acquire that land? Can't say. He doesn't know. He is going to acquire 13 acres of land and he doesn't know how much it's going to cost the government and the people of Nevis. Well, what kind of government is, what kind of government minister is this? He must be able to tell the people of Nevis that I have acquired this land and it has cost the people of Nevis such and such. But he doesn't know. All he is saying and beating his chest. And as we say on this program, the not so smart working minister can't say how much it will cost the people of Nevis for the acquisition of these lands. And lastly, I want to congratulate Miss Monique Washington, Lady Hammond. She's competing she's from my constituency, the riding, as Hector would say. She's going to compete in the first ever female Caribbean female calypso competition here on Monday evening. And I would want to wish her all the best because she'll be coming up against some very tough opponents. And I believe the experience would indeed be great. Of course, Dr. Daly, you had asked me to say something about the young cricketers. A number of our young cricketers would have made it to, about 4 or 5 of them made it to the Leeward Islands under 15 team. They are presently in Barbados. I believe the vice captain of the team is from Nevis. And they were able to win their first match. I think it was against Guyana. They were successful in that endeavor. Our under 19 cricketers, on the other hand, they were not successful in their first match. I think they went down against, I can't remember which team they played, but they're playing in St. Kitts. I think the good gentleman, what's his name, Jamie? What is Carey? I don't know. He's Cornelius Carey or Pemberton. One of the surnames. And there's also a young gentleman here from Government Road, Pump Road, who is playing in the under 19 cricket. Of course, the son of Carly Tuckett. Carl and Tuckett is on the under 15 team, and they're in Barbados competing and making the people of Nevis proud. I want to wish them all the best in their cricketing endeavors. Thank you, good afternoon, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Nisbet. And it's just a reminder, next week Saturday we'll be with you during the food fair, I believe. So, you can get your food and come back home and listen to us once again. For those of you who have joined and stayed with us the entire program, thank you very much. And we will be signing in again next week Saturday, same place, same station, 1:30. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
Your views, your opinion, your voice. Tune in to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the talk show that tackles the major issues on target. Join farmer members of the Nevis Island Administration and St. Kitts Nevis Federal Government as they discuss and debate today's issues with the listening audience. Also expect special guests, panelists, and friends. Participate by calling phone lines 869-469-5300 or overseas phone line 203-983-8903. Listen live on www.sknclt.com. Be sure to tune in to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM each and every Saturday at 1 p.m. It's On Target with the Honorable Dwight Cozier, the Honorable E. Roberto Hector, and the Honorable Patrice Nisbet.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program are not necessarily those of Choice FM, Community Radio, or its advertisers.